So we were on the organic chemistry and the class 12 chemistry. So today we will discuss about the classification of carbon. Classification of carbon in carbon atom. Classification of carbon in carbon atom. Right? Okay, and consider basically we have three types. First degree carbon, second degree carbon, third degree carbon, right? We can call this as primary, secondary. We call this as primary, this as secondary, and this as tertiary, right? We have first degree carbon, we have second degree carbon, and then we have third degree carbon, right? Okay, now let me explain you that what is the difference between this first degree carbon, second degree carbon, and third degree carbon, right? Okay, let me make a structure over here so you can understand this thing properly. Okay, we have first carbon over here. Consider this is a carbon chain, right? Now, the carbon which is connected to only one carbon is known as first degree carbon. The carbon which is connected to only one carbon is known as first degree carbon. Now, if you see this one carbon, this is connected to two carbons, so this is second degree carbon. If we see this one carbon, so it is connected with four other carbons, so it is 4 degree carbon. If we talk about this one carbon, it is connected to three other carbons, so this is tertiary carbon, right? Then we have this one carbon, so it is connected to two carbons, it is secondary carbon, and this is primary carbon. This is also primary carbon, this is primary carbon, and this is also the primary carbon, right? So basically this is the classification of carbon in carbon skeleton or in carbon atom, and basically carbon skeleton. In carbon skeleton. Right. Now let us study about the classification of carbon. Classification of carbon. Okay, we have basically three types. The first one is basically the normal carbon. The normal carbon. The second one is isocarbon. And third one is basically this neocarbon. Now what is basically this neocarbon, right? Now if we talk about this normal carbon, so in this what happens is, if for example I want to draw the structure of, if I say I want to draw the pentane, which is normal pentane, right? What will be its structure? It will be like this: carbon bond, carbon bond, carbon, carbon. So you can also put hydrogen in this. I'm just giving you examples. This is basically n pentane, right? If I ask you that I want to create for example hexane, n-hexane. and hexane. Right, so carbon, 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 and carbon. So these are 6 carbons. So this is basically, this is normal, right? This is what normally we make. Now let's come to this isocarbon. Basically, let me create this over here. Okay, this isocarbon, right? What is the meaning of the word iso? Basically, iso here, it means, iso means one branch of carbon. One branch of carbon. One branch of carbon is basically known as isocarbon. Well, consider that basically if I ask you that make isopentane, make isopentane, it means that in isopentane, in the chain there will be 4 carbon, because one branch of carbon, it means you will minus 1 carbon from the chain and put it on the, and you will make a branch of another carbon and on the second carbon, basically. This is known as isopentane. For example, I ask you to make isobutane, right? So what you will do, carbon, 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 and here it will be carbon. So this is basically isobutane, right? Then we have, which is basically, the third one is neocarbon. Neocarbon, right? Basically, the word neo means 2 branches of carbon. 2 branches of carbon, right? Now consider if I ask you that make neohexane. How you will make it? You will do neohexane 1, 2, 3, 4. There in iso we skipped 1 carbon, in neo we'll skip 2 carbon, right? And we'll put these 2 more carbons on the second carbon, right? So this is basically this neohexane. If I ask you that you need to make neoheptane, right? Then what you will do, carbon, 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 and here carbon, here also carbon, right? So this is basically the neoheptane, right? Okay, this, I hope this is clear to you, right? This classification of carbon classification, this one, old one. Basically, this one system is basically the old system. This is not the new one. This is old system, and this type of system is known as Trival naming system. Trival naming system. Trival naming system, right? Okay, let's see how to make alkyl. Like, what are alkyls now? What are alkyl? Basically, when we minus the hydrogen from a alkane, that is known as alkyl. For example, we have alkane and we subtract the hydrogen from it, it becomes alkyl. Consider, okay, for example, if we talk For example, I have alkane which is CH4, and we minus one hydrogen from this alkane, which basically this is methane, right? If we minus hydrogen from it, so it will become CH3 and it will become now methyl. It is now methyl. Okay, consider that we have another alkane which is C2H6, which is ethane. Ethane, right? And if we subtract one hydrogen from it, it will become C2H5, which is ethyl. Right? Likewise, we have propyl as well. If there is C3H, it will be basically 8 if I am not wrong. 3, yeah. This is propane. If I subtract one hydrogen from it, it will become C3H7, which is propyl. Right? So I hope this is clear to you. If you have any kind of queries, you can ask me in the comment section. I'll be really glad to answer you guys.